flood by a stream, the children playing, water flowing with blood. The pastor stands on his pulpit while preaching to hell, on a hilltop church with demons ringing the bell. They told twice for the missing and the recently departed in the...
On Facebook, I've been having this conversation with a fellow YouTuber regarding voting. And what the person has told me essentially was they are refusing to go to vote. Understandable. But instead what they're going to do is they're just going to sit back and just let God decide who is going to be President of the United States, and along with the other politicians that are out there. When I heard this, I was rather nonplussed. I was rather not happy about it. Mainly because what this tells me is that this person is obviously too damn lazy to actually pick up a newspaper or to at least think about it for a minute what kind of country they want to have. Now, this person talks about how they want to be all spiritual and holy and whatnot, but the problem is, at least in my opinion, that we live in a republic. We don't live in a theocracy. Some magical sky fairy or some watery tart with a sword is not going to go pick somebody and go, "Thou shalt be leader." It doesn't work like that. It never has, and it never will. Why? Because at least in a republic, we have a say as to the kind of person we want. At least in theory. The other problem is that while I understand the reluctance to vote given the corruption within this political system, things are not going to change unless we get out there and work our asses off and make sure that we hold these political figures accountable. If we're just going to lay back and just trust God, you know what that tells me? That tells me I am too damn lazy to get involved. I'm too cowardly to get involved. I really don't want to because, well, they're not going to listen to me. They don't care about me. One person they don't necessarily care about. True. But if enough Americans get tired of the nonsense and actually start voting, start campaigning, start getting read on what's actually happening, or at least speak out on some venue, then what you're doing is you're committing the sin of laziness. To quote Plato, those who refuse to get involved in politics always wind up being governed by their lessers. Another quote, all that is needed for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Not going out there and voting is understandable, but to expect somebody else to clean up your mess, that reeks of laziness. That's not spirituality in any way, shape, or form. Now, personally, I voted today. And this is like this other part of my rant that I kind of wanted to talk about. I did vote today. And I know I had said that I was not going to vote for either candidate, but I wound up deciding to vote for Barack Obama, mainly because at this point in the game, you kind of realize that you have a choice between somebody who is a plutocrat, someone who has absolutely no backbone to speak of, someone who has demonstrated their interest is profit. Their interest is not in the well-being of the citizens of the United States of America, and I'm talking about Mitt Romney here. The problem that I have with Barack Obama is that I like him as a person. I like him as an individual. I like how he conducts himself. I like the fact that he has a tremendous amount of respect for his wife and daughters. I like the fact that, He's someone who tries to be a person that reasons things out as opposed to reacting out of fear and instinct. That he tries to balance the two. But the problem that I have with him is that he's had nothing but problems for the past 4 years. And I'm really not necessarily sure that giving him another 4 will change things, except that it will keep Mitt Romney out of office. Like I said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Barack Obama, believe it or not. And I really like the guy. It's just I have a hard time voting for him. Because as a leader, he could be a little better. How could he be a little better? I don't know. Maybe by growing a backbone and standing up and start screaming bloody fucking murder and letting people know, you know what, this is not how things should work. Now granted, he can't do it by himself. He needs us. The president needs us in order to make a difference in this country, which goes back to my previous communication, which goes back to my previous point, that as American citizens, we have an obligation to look after one another. Now, this person that I'm talking about, I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm going to send the video to him. He can comment however he sees fit. He basically tries to say that, well, I'm just reaching one person at a time in God's name, trying to change hearts. That's nice, but it doesn't change anything. It changes things for that one person. But if you really want to make a difference in the United States, if you really want to make a difference in America, you have to do a little more. Standing back and letting somebody else do all the work, like I said before, is laziness. And in my mind, it's just outright cowardly, because what you're saying is that you would rather let some imaginary sky daddy change things when he's demonstrated he could really care less about us. He doesn't really give a damn one way or another. So if anything needs to be done, it can't be done through faith and imagination alone. Faith without works is dead. And faith, and the way you demonstrate your faith is voting for the candidate that you believe in, that at least in your heart knows close enough. Otherwise, even if you're refusing to vote simply out of ideological grounds, the fact that neither candidate represents you at least 80% of the time, vote anyway. Write in, neither of these candidates, none of the above. These are not the people I want. Make your voice heard. Otherwise, all you're doing is you're letting the United States be governed by your lessers. This is Dumac the Artist signing off. Slanchini Falcha. Have a nice day.
Congregation sits 100 days rotted. Suffering is all around, the stench of death in the air. Nobody seems to notice or nobody seems to care. It's just an everyday life in a normal routine. People walking right by but